All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to call to order the February 2nd, 2026 meeting of the City of Hood River Planning Commission. It is 5:33 p.m. and almost all of us are here this evening. I don't know if we have anybody, if Bill's online or if Bill's not here today. It's fine. Just checking our roll call. We are here today to, I guess I would describe it, finalize the written decision for the file number 2025-15, line 29, Architecture Marriott Hotel Site Plan Review. Before we do that, though, we are going to have a planning director's update. Correct.
Just real quick, more of a notice. Please note your next meeting is Tuesday, February 17th. We'll meet here. We have one item on the agenda, but just because of the holiday, it ends up being a Tuesday night.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's everything. I don't know how much discussion there is on this topic this evening.
I've got some points.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I think just for the audience, the purpose of this meeting is to discuss the findings and decision. The application for the application was denied. Now procedurally, Planning Commission's role and task is to render that decision in writing. Since it was a split vote, it was a large application. There was a lot of pieces. And any appeal of this matter would be based only on the record, not on new testimony. Felt it was important to make sure that you all had an opportunity to convene, to discuss any amendments to the draft that you've been prepared and you prepared, and that your sentiment and those decisions make it into that written decision, which will, as soon as you're completed, will be published and will be your basis. So I just wanted to make sure that we got the sentiment of Planning Commission and its decision is right. This is not an opportunity for you to renegotiate the matter. It's just making sure that does the decision accurately reflect the majority's opinion. So even if you disagree with it, I think the goal is to make sure, does it accurately reflect the majority of the findings? So I'm not asking you to change your mind. I just want to make sure, is it true to form and where you all landed, if that makes sense.
So are we gonna, I mean, if there are edits to make, are we gonna send you away with those edits and you'll make them? Or do we need at the end of this meeting to vote on these findings?
Yeah, I would like anything that was edit would be really inconsequential. So if there's anything of substance, I'd like you all to vote and make sure, yes, this in, either piece by piece or by various items accurately reflect what you want. So there was some components in there that you felt were important, and it was about 5 topics. We could go through them one by one and I could take you through the application, but yeah, I want you all to say generally minus whatever grammatical features there are or any prose or, continuity that you generally feel the substance of this is accurate. So what I'll do is I'll take your yes, we all are in consensus with this, and then I will have that signed by the chair. Typically in a smaller.
Yes or no thing.
What's-
This is a yes or no type of situation here. We agree or we don't agree. It's no time, it's not time to put any kind of new testimony or any idea.
No new testimony. I think it's really looking at the report and saying, this is generally, we as Planning Commission believe in these features. This is based largely upon the staff report. I think we had some areas that I went through and I adjusted it based on your conversation. We had some membership saying, okay, here's some additional items that we think should be included to, they didn't change anything. It was just a little more substance to it that shared their sentiment. I just want to make sure that you all are comfortable with the way it's written. And again, that it reflects what you all found here. So it's not changing the opinion, it's just back to, does it seem to line up with what you discussed? And again, being typically in similar applications, they're much, it's really uncommon that we come back to you all with actually having a formal action to do this. A lot of times I'll just synthesize what you have, share it with the chair. The chair really takes the opportunity to represent the planning commission and make sure that it's right. Again, given the split vote, given the large amount of commentary, it just is the abundance of caution, and to respect the process. I just wanted to take this extra step. So thank you all for spending your night to do this extra step.
Great. I feel like it accurately represented what I had to contribute to the feedback in there. I feel almost maybe that those who were opposed might have more, would likely to be the ones with more substantive changes,
Yeah, I think
if any.
I think the compatibility portion in particular, I added in quite a bit more detail there,
Okay.
more from the perspective of me. And I think it's probably important for commissioners that either voted no to read through that and believe that and say that this also represents maybe their perspective and how they evaluated compatibility and came to their determination. I think it would also be an opportunity for the yes votes to maybe indicate why they did believe it was compatible, because that's missing, because I couldn't represent that. I think this is going to be the document that if there is an appeal moves on, and so we need to provide enough information for council for them to consider and understand why we made the decisions we made. The other thing, I think it's also just becomes a document that will be referenced by future developers. And so I think it's fair to provide them with as much context information about the decision making as possible.
Mhm.
So this is my perspective, and that's why I added in quite a bit more detail. But so I think we should probably review the compatibility section and just make sure that everyone sees that the same way.
Is that in what we were provided already, or
That's in the one that Dustin sent.
the
after
draft?
The second version. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know that I got that or saw that.
So
yesterday.
so that can be part of the record, his new commentary?
This is all our record. So there's only one document. So that's why I wanted to, so we could bring it up, Dustin, and we can all look at it.
I have it, this was sent to you all, yesterday for just the added comments. So, and I have access, they're not, it's not a significant amount, but, what this is, if you go to your document on page 20, and I can bring it up, and for you all to view on your. You have a raised hand somewhere.
Oh, Tina McNerney. Her hand is raised. Oh, yes, Tina. Are you here in the audience this evening, Tina?
As an attendee,
Okay.
I'm not sure what time you want to have her speak.
Yeah, I'm wondering, is there a procedural issue here? Because this is not a public hearing.
Right.
This is really for you all, so. Tina, Tina, do you have a hand up? Do you have a process issue?
Sorry, that was a mistake.
Oh, okay.
I lowered my hand. I'm on my phone, so I apologize. I didn't know I pressed that button.
Okay, thank you. Keeping us on our toes. Okay,
Okay.
marked up draft.
This is hopefully on the screen before you.
Ah, perfect.
So this is page 20. You can see I left some of this highlighted because it was probably one of the most discussed and deliberated pieces. So I left this open for you all. Added to this is some of the additional commentary which came to be incorporated in the decision if you all see fit and accurate. And I don't necessarily want to read it to you, but it is there for your reading. And once I get a couple of you to raise your hand, I will move on to the next page. So.
So I suppose I guess I just have a question on how this all works on other boards that I've been a part of. typically once we come to a decision, we kind of just stand by the decision. And so would this be a moment to like just give my points of view as to why I had a yes vote?
No. I don't need you to defend a yes vote. I just need you to make sure what comes out of this board is somewhat accurate to the majority's decision.
Oh, okay, gotcha, yeah.
So, and both ways, I don't need to defend a no, I don't need to defend a yes. The decision has been verbally, it was voted upon. Is this accurate? Similar to minutes, it doesn't necessarily have to, it no longer reflects your own personal view. It now reflects that, is it accurate by way of what happened in front of the planning commission? And is it an accurate representation of what is to be forwarded into the record? Or is there something you want to add to say, you know, between the discussion of criteria, I think this is this was a part of our discussion, a sentiment that was, between the lines, or something that I think is not just turned into the written form. Or you could say, I don't believe this is what we came to. I think this is a different statement. So it's really commentary on the message, not necessarily on your own personal belief to the matter.
Sounds good. I'm ready to move on if other people have read.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I only put things in here that were said during the hearing. So I just wanted that to be clear. I just didn't want the detail to be lost around why
Gotcha.
vote was made.
Yeah.
You can continue scrolling.
Good job. Thank you. I will probably likely, so in terms of grammatical, whereas it says the commissioner cited, I'll probably change that to the commission. Again, this is the idea of like, there's points where you want to, like, I think it's useful to say, there was differences, and I think that works, but at some point you now speak as you're one voice now.
Yeah.
So,
I would say that the majority should be specifically paying attention to this to make sure it reflects all of you.
so similar to the commissioner also raised concerns with the applicant. It should technically, coming from the planning and zoning commission, it should say the commission. So I wouldn't consider that a substantive change, but likely one of those things I'll just clean up on your behalf.
The only other comments I had in this area were kind of related to those images below. They're not attributed, and I think we probably should attribute those as maybe applicant. They just don't have any text around them, so it's unclear what they're intending to represent or where they came from. That would add some details around that.
It does, the first part actually, when I was reading it as audience, I think it flows within the section. So I think that, whether they're addresses, I think there's a general sentiment that seems to make sense. And again, just as a reader, there's the entire body of work that goes along with this, but certainly this is your decision. If you find it needs more substance out of it, happy to do that.
So I don't know if I'm not sure that they represent the commission's findings around compatibility. So they really kind of represent the applicant's argument around compatibility.
Right. So I guess from your perspective, it's the statement that applicant included these features to justify their compatibility.
Yeah, I think in other places when it's written text, you indicate that this is from the application.
Yep.
And which is great, because it's not always it doesn't always mean that it's, consistent with that criteria.
Yeah.
But in this case, they aren't attributed, I would attribute them to the applicant.
Oh, okay, attributing it to the applicant,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, certainly, please note whenever I write that, it's from the applicant is not necessarily the staff believing it. It is factually been provided by the applicant. We could easily do that here. Anything else? So are generally you all comfortable with the first additions that were in the paragraphs as far as PC representation,
Do we need an official vote on this?
or three of you?
I feel good about what was written.
Okay,
Switching it to the commission instead of the commissioner.
yeah.
Right.
Again, as long as the substance represents you all, that's really what I'm looking for.
Mike, sorry, Mike, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, this is what I'm reading here is Commissioner Polk wrote, correct?
Mhm.
In the dark here.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what's getting added.
Yeah,
His comments are getting added to the findings,
yep,
and we all are agreeing that that's fine to do that. I mean, so yes, I'm in agreement with that for sure, yes.
okay.
Thanks.
The only other edit I had on top of my edits was, since I made them, I didn't know if, where I added that the surrounding area should be limited to the 250-foot notice area. It didn't just pull that out of thin air. That came from a decision document from 2008 that the planning commission made about another hotel down in Cascade. And so I think it may be worthwhile kind of referencing that, just to again indicate that we are being consistent and we should be predictable over time because we're using the same methodology. So I didn't know if that was important to just reference where that seemingly arbitrary.
I think it's really important to use that as a precedent. I don't know, I'm not sure why we're not allowed to, but I think that's a good thing, a good point to make.
Yeah, and I don't know, the word precedent, yeah, I think probably has a legal definition, I think, but at least from my perspective, it's a consistency at the very least, and some predictability.
Okay, you're all generally good with, call it back referencing it to a previous land use decision. Okay. Okay, the next one that really came up was as it relates to parking. I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute so we don't have everyone become miserable while I review and scroll through this. So if you go to, this would be page 23 in your packet or on the application. It references the parking standard. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry, that's too far ahead.
6, I think.
Page 6. Wrong parking section. The discussion focuses on the number of parking spaces required, the number of parking spaces provided. And within that, I initially had talked about the idea that there's just a discussion of parking places. One of the elements that was included was the applicant's analysis of the parking requirement and the demand. I think it came up that although that is factually in the record, making the statement that although this is shown in the record, this is actually not the code that you that you're required to enforce. So within its argument and within the findings, the applicant talks about, or we referenced that the traffic engineer says they have a certain number of spaces. And then I proceeded, and now you're going to proceed to say, this is actually how the code is administered. So we can leave the traffic analysis in there as reference. However, there was a request, and I agree with this, to differentiate what is in the review and what is the code criteria. So within that, I think we discussed the idea that adding a caveat to say, although included as a part of the application, this is the parking code that's enforced and required. So just kind of determining what did we look at and what was the driving force behind it. So you're comfortable making that. I think that's pretty grammatical, but I think was the reason to leave something in there and determine, it was here, but it's not code criteria. So if you're,
Are there additional edits to that section too?
it would basically be a caveat statement of, although included, this is not required as a part of the code.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the parking study that the applicant did is but, we don't consider that. So I guess that's the point. It was provided, but it's not part of our consideration in terms of the conditions of the criteria.
Just make sure I'm not missing something.
We just use square footage in this case.
Okay. That sounds great to me.
Okay, as long as there's no dissenters,
Nope.
I will add that in. That was really the big two that were provided ahead of time. If there was anything else from the written version that you want to add, there are, total of 42 pages. And again, the purposes of this is to kind of leave a record for the decision, either for appeal or for future reference. Just wanted to make sure that you guys were all comfortable with it.
I have a few more comments and notes
Sure.
if we got time.
Yeah, please.
So page 9, this is of I think you can have either the original or the updated. It just indicates in the findings that it was recommended by staff as a condition of approval that the Eastern State Street entrance storefront and entry be expanded through use of transom glaze lighting, et cetera. And there isn't a condition of approval in there around that. And I didn't know if maybe we just missed the opportunity to add that in. I just wanted to note that it's a recommendation. We never discussed it. Maybe the time has passed for us to discuss it, but I just wanted to throw that out there. But maybe the time probably has passed to discuss adding any conditions of approval because
Well,
we made our decision.
yeah, it's been
Mhm.
denied, so any condition is mute.
Maybe.
I mean, at this point, we can't.
Okay.
We cannot add additional
Sounds good.
anything
Sounds good.
to the application,
Sounds great.
other than our editorial feedback on how it's factually written.
Meaning so that it's something that's there as part of the appeal, if they
Yeah.
decide to appeal.
Correct.
I see, gotcha.
It's not particularly consequential because of the denial. The only reason why I left the conditions in there, so they're really they're not consistent with the decision that you rendered, but I think what I consider important in leaving them there is, again, if anyone wants to consider it else, I would want them to not come out and then leave everyone guessing at what were kind of the terms that made some of these issues that you found to not be issues, okay. That, some of these conditions are used to demonstrate compliance. It didn't demonstrate compliance with all the conditions, but I think there is some utility there, leaving them for whoever else can see what was missing and what wasn't, rather than them trying to reconstruct that from the record. So I don't think it's inconsistent if it said condition to add it in there. It's not actually adding, I mean, I think it was intentionally left as this is a condition of approval. I think if you're all comfortable with that, I could add it in there and it doesn't materially change anything.
So if this does get appealed, and it passes on compatibility on that appeal, is this is this all these conditions go with it, right? There's no new.
It could be interpreted completely different. So, I mean, it doesn't mean all the conditions go or don't go. It's the material and the record. There would need to then be a city council decision. We would go through and recreate these. So it's not we take planning commission's decision or don't take it. It is, we've evaluated it and this is how we interpret the circumstances based on the record. So it's not an all or nothing. So I think there is some utility there to input that as it's necessary. So.
Oh, yeah, no, I was that's for me, that's fine.
The other thing I just on page 10, there's an image of the State Street facing facade. And I'm not sure that's the latest. And I'm really unclear around I just kind of tried to dig back through all the applicants' documents, and this particular facade seems to change. And so I'm not sure if it matters. This seems to be indicating something about doorway and entryway and things like that. And if you look at newer renderings, it seems to have shifted. So I don't know if it's important at all to have the most page 10, I think. It's in the so Dustin, up to you. This is probably one that was in the staff report. I'm not sure it was the latest one.
Yeah, this is the one that was in the staff report. I can put both side by side, like kind of juxtapose of this particular elevation, the latest version of the elevation. I don't think we saw anything change in terms of consistency, but dual images, I don't think necessarily harms the application. If you wanted to see them side by side or slightly incorporated.
I guess this is put in here because there's a finding that's related to it. And that finding, I guess, is potentially no longer accurate if the facade has changed. And so I just want to make sure that the finding is accurate based on the latest proposed facade for State Street.
Yeah, you did not find that it was not accurate based upon the revised. So, I could put it in there and see if there's any conflict, but
Yeah.
The finding from planning commission was this particular code criteria as it related to large scale buildings and the amount of glazed material was that it met it. So.
Okay, that's fine. And we didn't bring it back up. Essentially,
Right.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. My only other, there was some follow-up on page 15 related to grading. Kind of later in the record, the applicant had provided information about their engineer's conversation with folks from the adjacent church property around retaining that retaining wall. And so I just didn't know if it was, if we want to put any of that in as, again, maybe we can't add a condition at this point, which is what I was going to consider, but do we want to add a little bit more detail to that? Kind of a agreement that was made, or is it just in the record and so that's enough detail?
That's my feeling about it.
Oh, and that's what I was gonna say about the conditions. Those were recommendations from the staff. So like if we were to, like say if we had motion to approve, we could have set our own conditions. But those were the recommendations. So I think this document, what we're kind of giving back as our decision is more a reflection on the application. And so that's why I think so much of it is just left as is, and that way it reflects what the application was and what the recommended conditions.
But I think moving forward, like for instance, if it goes to, if it does go to the city council, then they would have that say. But I'm with you with that. I think it's just what's in the record is. It's because it'll still be in the record.
Yeah, I think that part of the attachment materials for the last version included a fairly detailed letter from someone. That's the Riverside Church themselves. I can't quite remember who at this point, but it seemed to me that they outlined their issues. And it's in the, it was resolved.
Yeah, they did have a letter after the fact, because they did have a letter initially with the concern about the retaining wall, but then.
Consequently, they sent a revised one that
Right,
included
yeah.
details about their conversation, so.
Yeah.
I think-
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's, and I think if I were to, you know, in my time capsule, I guess I would probably want to have made that a condition of the approval, potentially. So I'm not sure if that's legal or not, but just the, like, the maintenance of that retaining walls.
I think for this, certainly it was something that was discussed. If you think it's material to your findings of compliance, I'd be happy to put and kind of synthesize a statement of, you know, in its revised, something along the lines of, in its revised submission, provided materials regarding the church. These materials are in the record, you know.
Yeah, I think it can't hurt, just to say that this exists, and just in case anyone goes looking to get other references.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
It's not changing directions. I think this is where it's like, it's just it's an and statement. So, and this it was material, it showed up in the record, to point towards it, that it had impact on your deliberation and you think it's worthwhile there, you're all there. I could easily synthesize that.
That's just.
Yes.
Commissioner Pope, was that all of your?
Well, I just did, that's a spell.
Okay, those sound like things that maybe you can just email me.
I can just email this, yeah,
Yes.
square, page 20, but I can send over some. You can just.
You can tell us what the word is and then quiz us all to see if we know how to spell it correctly.
English is my second
Just
language.
kidding, I know.
Please note, I will not correct the grammar of the code when it's not right. So a lot of times you'll see, and I'll find the code actually are quotes.
Yeah.
They're not worded the way I would word them. I won't go back and change that. I intentionally leave them as true to form, although grammatically challenged. So,
Okay. Any other comments to finalize? Well, sort of, you're gonna make the final draft for us then.
yeah, based on the notes and what you provided here,
Yeah,
I will make the final draft and write-up. You will get to ensure that I did them accurately. And then what happens at that point is we will produce the draft, you will sign it. I will then mail out a notice of this decision to, or email, depending on how the participants, participated, to everyone who participated in the hearing. Serves as their notice. That will open up a 12-day appeal window, and at which time we will see where it goes next.
okay.
Can we pause for just a moment? I
Yeah.
just had one more comment. I just wanted to. I think it was around on page 11, there's the development shall divide large building masses into heights and sizes that relate to human scale by incorporating changes in building mass or direction. And it goes on. And I think, and maybe in the findings, we're just stating that the applicant, sorry, I just thought there was some reference to human scale in there. And I just want to make sure that this is consistent with our compatibility determination. So we could maybe just read that and just make sure that that is consistent. It's the page 11. Says sheets A100 through A110. No, I just want to make sure that we're not contradicting our compatibility determination. No, I think it's okay. It just in the code, it does say, it talks about building masses and it talks about human scale. And so I just want to make sure that we're not contradicting ourselves across criteria.
25,000 to 5,000, or excuse me, 25,000 to 50,000 square feet. There's a little more, I would call them, they're a little more discreet. That's where it talks about some percentage of windows. I don't think it necessarily, I think you can hit all those points and not necessarily upset or internally conflict with the compatibility statement. They're not, there's some overlap there, but they do have some of their own. They do all stand on their own. So,
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Pope. Any other comments from any other commissioner this evening on our draft? Okay. Then we're all in agreement that with the edits that Dustin made, Dustin will send them to me. I'll more than likely run them by you to make sure that everything is covered, even though I've taken notes. I think it sounds like we're good to go.
yeah, please remember Tuesday,
Yes.
February 17th. I
Monday's
know
a
it's,
holiday.
sometimes it can be hard to remember that, but coming up, you will be asked to evaluate next in line. It's already been advertised in terms of public hearing. It's a zone change, multifamily development. You will be, for you all, you are the deciders on the quasi judicial and planning aspects. You are a recommending body to city council on zone change. So we will have some materials out to you either this week or next week. I'll see you there.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dustin. And I believe we're going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting now at 6:10 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening.